John McAfee, who has just been all over the headlines the last few months, is going to be joining us here in a moment via audio Skype. And he's back in the United States. He's in California right now, hanging out with friends. I just had a chance to talk to him during the break here. And obviously, you don't need me to recap the whole saga of him inventing the McAfee software antivirus of the same name, the most famous antivirus software out there, and then being down in Belize with all these different businesses, and then having a neighbor end up dying, and then hiding from the police, then going across the border into Guatemala and being captured. Well, I guess because of a photo that was sent out by somebody that could geolocate where he was at. And now, first he was back to the U.S., then to England, now back to the U.S. We'll get him to recap his travels and what's going on. But he's got big breaking news here. And we were wanting to get him on about a week ago just to get an update. And then finally we were able to get through to him. And they're like, hey, yeah, he wants to come on your show and break the news that's now up at his blog, but give details on it, of a clear and present danger of Hezbollah in Belize. And we'll show viewers a document cam of this before we go to John. And I'm like, oh, okay, come on. You know, John admits he did a hoax about bath salts and stuff. You know, he likes to be a practical joker. I don't think he killed his neighbor. A lot of police don't as well, a lot of criminologists. But, I mean, come on, is this another joke? But then I start looking at the articles. And Times of Israel, Iran Hezbollah established training base in Nicaragua. That's right by Belize and the island of Roatan. Hezbollah hooks up with Mexican drug cartels. Business Insider. And just a bunch of other WikiLeaks, U.S. Embassy in Belize show Hezbollah in Belize for years. And just a whole bunch of news articles talking about this. So this is really getting wild. But truth is stranger than fiction. So we're going to hear him out. And we're also going to put his blog up on screen for you, whoisjohnmcafee.com. He joins us right now. John, thank you for coming on with us. Before we get into this latest breaking thing in this saga, recap for people your adventure, what happened, getting back to the U.S., the geolocating with the photo. Recap for a few minutes of that, because people want to be brought up to speed who may not have caught all of it. And then let's get into the latest chapter in Bizarro World.
All right. Well, I think from my latest post, it should be very clear to everyone why I was reluctant to turn myself over to the Belizean authorities. I did manage to escape Belize and the company with two reporters from Vice magazine, one of whom took a photograph as soon as we got into Guatemala and published it with the geolocation. So immediately the Guatemalan authorities began to look for me. I managed to make it to Guatemala City, where I contacted my lawyer, who was the ex-attorney general for the country of Guatemala, an excellent lawyer. I was arrested, but he filed a long series of papers with the courts that would have kept me there for years. The Guatemalan government sat down with me and negotiated my extradition to the States, which is exactly what I wanted at that time, and here I am. And I think it should be clear now, because now that I'm in the States, I feel safe to disclose the information that I had known about for over 6 months, and that is the country of Belize has been accepting Hezbollah terrorists at the rate of about 10 per month for a couple of years, changing their identities, giving them European names, and then handling them, shipping them off into Guatemala, then across Honduras into northern Nicaragua to a training base, and also a base where they are manufacturing ricin powder, weapons grade. That is being transported north into Mexico, along with the terrorists, and in league with the Zeta drug cartels. The ricin powder, using the same drug routes that they ship hundreds of tons of cocaine through, the ricin is being delivered into the States. Much of this has been documented in the press in bits and pieces. I think if you read the blog and listen to especially the 15-minute segment of the Belizean official talking about the process, its origin, and the names of the people involved, I think you can tell that this is not a joke. I mean, like practical jokes don't lean toward the dangerous. And this is indeed a dangerous allegation, a dangerous set of circumstances that I've exposed. And I, again, am going into a very low-profile mode. I'm heading into the Midwest, wearing my Stetson cowboy hat, and I'll be hanging out with the ranchers that I've lived with for many years out there.
So you're back in the United States. Now, John, I know the Belizeans are famously corrupt. I've spent quite a bit of time down there since I was a small child. One of the most corrupt places in this hemisphere, undoubtedly. I mean, they leave tourists alone generally, but the police are known as some of the most dangerous people. But you've also pointed out a lot of the rank and file aren't bad. It's basically the government. So I've always said better that 10 guilty men go free than one innocent man go to jail. Of course, that's been famously quoted by many Supreme Court justices. So I'm paraphrasing, something that's been out there forever. I don't think you're guilty of the death of your neighbor down the beach, but separately, at the same time, I, am aware of some of the Hezbollah reports down in that neck of the woods in Central America. But what do you say to the media that would come out and say that, devil's advocate, you're just creating this story to make sure that U.S. Public servants, a.k.a. authorities, don't come and arrest you and ship you back down to Belize, that this is a conflated story thrown out there just to distract people away from your activities. I mean, look, the reason I think you're innocent is a lot of different reasons, but you were on record with tourist outfits and tours and trying to develop rainforest tinctures and things that many others have done and become fabulously wealthy. So as an inventor, that fit in. You were in the news showing people your lab. You're clearly not there producing drugs like they'd claimed, raiding you, but not finding drugs. So it's because you got raided and stuff and they couldn't bring you down. That's why I give you credibility. But then on the other side, you went on the drug forums and made jokes about how you had, developed some amazing, new aphrodisiac drugs. So I think that counts against you. So what do you say to that?
Well, I would say that, number one, the mainstream press would shy away from the story, not because of lack of credibility, but because of fear. Secondly, I think the mainstream press in bits and pieces has told this story already. The Hezbollah operative arrested in Mexico a month ago with a Belizean passport with a fake name. Now, where did he get that passport? He didn't buy it at the grocery store, didn't order it on the internet. It was a valid Belizean passport. So it clearly is happening. Secondly, the Israeli press publicized the presence of a Hezbollah base in northern Nicaragua, and that happened again about a month or so ago. Thirdly, there's a well-known connection between the Hezbollah and the Zetas that is growing stronger day by day, and it's causing alarm. So what's wrong with linking all these together and saying, for example, the 15-minute segment of the Belizean official, that clearly is not put on. The man clearly knew too much, spoke too articulately. So where did that come from? The evidence is there. Listen to the tapes, check out the stories. It's clearly not a fabrication.
Well, I know that there are a lot of different extremists and people down in that area, and the government's been trying to cover it up for a while. I mean, look at our own government funding al-Qaeda to take over Libya and now Syria and giving al-Qaeda more than 10,000 heat-seeking missiles. I mean, that's L.A. Times, New York Times. Let me ask you this question. You're down there. Are you saying you started to discover this was going on? I mean, you do have the interview here. When did you do the interview, and is this why they came after you? I mean, fill this in for people.
Of course, this is why they came after me. You can't, if you look at and again, when I started this, I was only trying to, I was pissed off. They came onto my property and shot my dog, destroyed my property, stole $500,000 worth of my stuff. That pissed me off. I was angry. The only tool I have is the background and knowledge that I have to gather information. So I knew there was corruption going on. I had no clue what it was. But you start listening to people's private conversations, eventually you're going to discover something. What I discovered mostly was everybody's having affairs. That's no surprise, and that wasn't much interest. But I did discover, and I think this is laid out very clearly in the blog, that among the human trafficking going on in Belize is a large number of Lebanese males coming into the country with passports from Lebanon, Saudi Arabia, Afghanistan, and are given brand new identities, brand new names, and using handlers handled off ultimately into America with a very dangerous package. Now that surprised me, that shocked me, and that piqued my interest.
And by the way, I want to back up. I want to back up what you're saying, and then let you complete what you're trying to say. Take your time here.
Yes, sir.
When you were on my show a month ago, before you went into hiding completely and then got across the border into Guatemala, you said on the show, you talked about your gift to the police and others of these laptops. So
yes, of course. Well, I mean, let's get real. Everybody loves laptops. Everybody likes electronic gear. It's the easiest thing in the world to put keystroke logging software on a computer. In fact, you can download it from CNET for free, and it'll call home and tell you what people are doing. It's trivial.
Why did you do that? Because you were already, I mean, start at the beginning. Explain to us when you first started to hear about this and what would bring you to the point of giving people these laptops that were set up to track them and their every word.
Well, that's all I know how to do. I mean, if you're going to try to find corruption, if you've got a laptop sitting in someone's house that's turned on, connected to the internet, then I can send it a signal and say, turn on the microphone. Let me hear what's happening in the background. I can turn on the camera and look at what's happening in the background. Given the keystroke logging software, we can get everybody's passwords for their email, for Facebook, for all of their private message boards. It's trivial stuff. A 12-year-old can do it. People just don't think. So, yes, I started giving it out, and of course I would give it to the police. Who else would I give it to? The police were looking for me. And the police are central in Belize to all the corruption. Without the enforcement and help of the police, they can't do anything. And so clearly the police were targeted for gifts, and these gifts were frequently electronic devices that I could control. So, indeed, and again, I'm not saying that what I did was correct or legal in Belize or conscientiously defensible. Nevertheless, it's what I did, sir, because it's all the tools I had. They stormed my property illegally, shot my dog, destroyed my property, and stole from me. What would you do? Would you not want to get back?
And so you gave them the classic Trojan horse laptops. How many laptops did you give them?
75. And it was not just the 75 laptops. I also had friends who were helping me out. And in fact, one of them is on tape on the blog, describing her experience with one of the Iranians. Once these were given out and we found out who people were talking to, it was very easy to compromise other computers. All it takes is, can I borrow your computer to check my email? And while you're there, you download the software and install it. So I ended up compromising over 200 computers within the government. Well,
I'll say this: if this is for real, and there's a lot of evidence that you are for real, and this actually makes more sense now of why you had to get out of the country and why you didn't want to go into their hands, and you have mainstream news articles that back up a lot of what you're saying, then you fit the profile of a real CIA or Department of Defense type operative or mercenary, but you also have the MO as a famous, super famous developer of software. And if all this is made up, you ought to be the greatest fiction writer ever. So I tend to go with it, being true, or at least part of it. But this is amazing. So what can you tell us about the Ricin?
Okay, all right. So here's what happened. Pillow talking men are the weakness. It's the stupidity of the male race. Women tend to be men's weaknesses, and I'm not being cynical here. I think I'm being realistic. And if a man falls for a woman, he will tell her anything. And so the pillow talk was astonishing. We found out that he was going down to Nicaragua to a place called Wamlan. and they were making oil from a kind of beans. Castor beans is where ricin comes from. A single bean will kill an adult human. 1 milligram of purified ricin. In one of the text captures that we got, somebody, and it was on a young woman's computer that had no business talking about such things, talked about an MMD of 3 microns, meaning it's the mean mass density. It's the average diameter of a particulate of powder. Well, at 3 microns, it's definitely weaponized dust. You could take a kilogram of it and spray it over New York and kill every man, woman, and child in the entire city. This is a kilogram. And they're manufacturing this stuff by the ton. It was to me very, very scary. It was scary to the young woman. You may notice she said she was afraid. I brought her back and sent someone else with a little more experience. It's all for real, sir. If you read it carefully, if you listen to the audio tapes, especially of the police and official, it is obviously not something made up. There's way too much detailed information with names and dates for this to be manufactured.
Okay. Tell us, because people are interested, the whole story. I'm going to sit back and give you the floor. Tell us how you got into Guatemala, how you got out. That story again briefly, how you got back, and obviously as soon as you get off the aircraft and the feds are there, and I remember seeing on the news saying, I asked, am I under arrest? And they said no. Obviously you've given all this to the Department of Justice. I mean, have you gotten the info to them?
No, sir, I have not. Because I do not trust the Department of Justice. I hate to say that. But think about it. They are aware of what's going on. It is impossible for the State Department and the feds not to know what's happening, and they're letting this happen. I mean, it takes the...
I mean, that makes sense, because if this really is going on, they've run so many of the terror attacks. They run Al-Qaeda, at least the groups that control the State Department, Justice Department. They ran Fast and Furious to blame the Second Amendment. So I'm going to sit back, start from the beginning. You've got the floor.
Okay, so how I got out. Getting out was non-trivial, because I had the entire Belizean army and the entire Belizean police force looking for me. Photographs, borders locked down tight, checkpoints on every single highway. However, I've lived in Belize for 5 years, and I knew one thing for certain: if it rains, there is no public official who is going to stand in the rain and do anything. So I waited for a day where there was 100% chance of rain all along the Southern Highway. We had backup plans. I had one of my friends drive one of my very high-profile trucks. Everyone knew was mine, driving about 3 miles ahead of me, so that in case he was stopped, he would radio. My anticipation was they would be swarming all over that truck and wave the next traffic through. But that was the backup. It did rain, and every single point we went through, the army was sitting in their cars, and we just drove on through all 3 checkpoints along the Southern Highway. We ended up in a town called Punta Gorda. No, sorry, not Punta Gorda. It was then a little bit south of Punta Gorda in southern Belize, and we spent the night at a nice hotel. I was in disguise. Everyone else was in disguise. Amy was wearing a long blonde wig. We had a nice night. Early in the morning, we had friends that checked the coastline for Coast Guards. The day before, by the way, I had arranged to have someone with my name arrested in Mexico, and had that reported. So everybody in Belize was moving to the northern border to collect me as the Mexicans, transferred me back, although it was not me. The Coast Guard had left. The coast was clear. We grabbed a small fishing boat and headed down to a town called Livingston in eastern Guatemala and embarked. From that point, my plan was to go to Guatemala City. I'd already arranged with my lawyer, Telesforo Guerra, who is the ex-attorney general for the country of Guatemala, to file for political asylum. Unfortunately, in a little place north of Livingston called Fronteras, my 2 traveling companions from Vice magazine posted a photograph that had the location within it. And from that point, things got very tense. We had to to run from the Guatemalan authorities, who had been alerted by police to return me, of course. But we did make it to Guatemala City successfully. Did contact my lawyer. He did file the appropriate papers. When I was arrested, he did a series of legal maneuvers which kept them from returning me to police. And after negotiations with the Guatemalan government, I was then exported here to the States. I have been mostly on the move, collecting my data and collecting my thoughts and getting ready for the post I posted this morning. And here we are, sir.
You sounded very cogent before, but a few times a little scatterbrained, who wouldn't be on the run. You really sound focused and cogent now. I've asked a lot of questions and kind of interrogated you. Again, I want to give you the floor here now to speak to the millions of people out there that one way or another end up seeing this TV show after it first airs at prisonplanet.tv. Break down the information, what you think they're planning with the Ricin, what you thought when you began to learn this, and what you think the population should do with this information that you say you've discovered.
Okay. First of all, I was shocked when I did discover this, but when it started falling into place, I focused all of my attention on it. It was something very frightening to me, and something that I believe the world should know. I could not possibly have said anything while in Belize, and by the Belizean authorities on the 11th of October figured out what I knew. It was on the 15th that the second major raid took place. This is well before Gregory Fall was killed. And it was actually on the 15th that Samantha and I went underground for real. And from that point, I was more or less on the run. The information that they knew that I had is dangerous to every single member of the Belizean government, certainly the entire cabinet, certainly to John Saldivar, who is the Minister of National Security and the architect of this entire thing, certainly to the Prime Minister. I was in a very sketchy place. And I thought long and hard about how I would present this when I came back, because what I have presented is that there really is a clear and present danger to America. The amount of ricin that has been brought into the country and being produced in northern Nicaragua is astonishing. It's enough to kill every man, woman, and child on the planet. And, you know, we're worrying about their weapons. We're worrying about, you know, things that we really should be looking at. The chemical warfare that the Hezbollah could unleash at any moment, at any time. Keep in mind, the Zetas have been running tons of cocaine into this country, which can be packaged exactly like they package ricin, for years. They know the routes. They are extremely successful in putting these packages into America. They're now putting packages of ricin into America. This is an absolute fact. This is not made up. This is not a joke, and this is not an exaggeration. And people have to pay attention. And bits and pieces of this have been reported by the press for months. No one has paid any attention. It's time we looked. And by the way, you can read all of this in detail at whoismcafee.com. The blog post is long. I regret that it is long and tedious, but it is full of information, full of voice recordings and screenshots and links to what the national press has already released. This is real, people. This is not a joke. This is not something that you can ignore.
What does your gut tell you is being planned with, quote, thousands of pounds of ricin, and how do you know it's thousands of pounds?
I know for an absolute fact, based on the number of months that have transpired and what each person is carrying out. I don't have a clue. I have no information on that, and I'm not sure I have any way of getting that information. But whatever its intended use is, it's not going to be pleasant.
Where do you go from here, John?
I go into the Midwest, where I've lived for years, and based on the comment responses to my blog, like people in Iowa say, hey, come to Iowa, you're going to be safe with us. And I'm going into a part of the world where people work hard, work honestly, and are not happy about the idea of foreigners coming onto the American soil and killing livelihoods and families. And a place where everyone is armed and capable of defending themselves, and also a place where the Hezbollah, for example, would stand out like a sore thumb.
So you're concerned then that Hezbollah may try to come after you?
Well, I'd be an idiot not to think that, wouldn't I? I mean, think about what I've just released. I've released routes and organizational links, names within the Belizean government that are protecting these people and handling these people. Of course, I have to be concerned, sir.
Well, the Belizean government works for a great extent for the Western powers, from my research. You know more about it than I do. I mean, why would our government, the State Department, not want to investigate this? I mean, obviously, there's some low-level people who are probably good. It might be good to at least get the info out to government so that some investigations get started low-level, because some of that will then trickle up. It's kind of like Fast and Furious. The higher-ups were running it, but it was lower-level people that blew the whistle. But I'm really just adding some points there. Let me cut right down to it. Do you think elements of the U.S. government want terror attacks in the U.S. so they can use that as an excuse to take more liberties?
Well, it would certainly explain why they are inactive on one of the most dangerous threats that have yet been uncovered. And clearly, sir, they know about this. This can't be news. What I'm posting on my blog can't be someone in the CIA going, oh, that's news to us. You know they know this. They have to know this. I mean, if I know it, then they know it. And they're taking no action at all. And you said that police works for the Western governments. It does not, sir. It got less than $500,000 from U.S. aid last year. Do you realize that it gets $25,000 for each and every illegal immigrant that they come in and give a free identity to, or a new identity? That's a lot of money.
Sure, Belize is famous for basically giving anybody a passport that wants one. I mean, clearly Belize is crawling, though, with different types of spooks and spies and people. Just amazing, because there are mainstream news articles about Hezbollah down in that area of Central America. Do you think that these people that you allege are involved in this are planning something here in the U.S., or what is their target?
Of course they are. Absolutely. The target is the U.S. There is no doubt in anyone's mind. It's the end result of this is the Hezbollah operative entering the United States through the sand drug routes. Which is the easiest and safest way for them to enter. I mean, the Zeta controls the traffic, the people traffic north into America, and the drug traffic. Well,
that did come out in an Arizona Department of Public Safety document that got leaked. But look, all I can say is this. When would Iran strike? I mean, obviously, I guess if Iran got struck militarily, then the plan would be to activate these Central American sleeper cells?
You know, unfortunately, they're not in Central America, sir. They're here in America. That's where they have ended up, and hundreds per year are ending up here. So they are here now. They are armed here now, armed with this potent weapon. And when they're going to strike, I have no clue. But when they do, I will tell you, it will not be pretty, and it will make the World Trade Center tragedy look like child's play.
But the TSA's too busy looking for Al-Qaeda underneath Grandma's colostomy bag. They're too busy sticking their hands down cheerleaders' pants and too busy robbing people's bags to be concerned about that. Well, or they could be letting these people in so the globalists can stage a terror attack and then blame Iran. You know, just because they claim they're working for Iran, and I'm not defending the Iranian government, I have seen Western powers too many times stage terror attacks with Muslim cutouts, John, or synthetic terrorist as a pretext, like 9/11. What's your view on 9/11, Oklahoma City, Gulf of Tonkin, Operation Northwoods? You're a pretty smart guy. Have you ever read about false flags, staged events, Operation Gladio, Operation Ajax?
Yeah, I have. I will say in this case, though, there's no need for the U.S. government to stage anything. That whatever event is going to be occurring is going to be real to the nth degree, and I believe the U.S. government is letting it happen. They're letting it happen either purposefully or as some people within the government have said, there are larger goals to consider. I don't know what those goals might be. I'm not privy to them.
Well, no, they get to take our guns. I guarantee you, if there is a Ricin attack, they'll come take my guns and try to grab my wife's breast. I mean, it's just any excuse to dominate and control. And boy, I tell you, time will tell, John, but if you're telling the truth, and a lot of this does check out, you are going to go down in the history books as an incredibly key person. But I mean, a lot of it does make sense that you're down there in Belize, known to have Hezbollah in it. I don't know about the names you're posting or the recordings you have, but I know this is in the news. And I know our government loves to fund terrorists and allow them to attack us, or sometimes stages it. I mean, that's a fact. They stage Fast and Furious, so many other events. They've given Libya and now Syria to a great extent to Al-Qaeda. They're giving them missiles. So, I mean, it's completely possible that a successful business guy down there suddenly gets raided over and over again. They can't find anything on you. You suddenly have to get out of the country no matter what and say you have a bigger story to tell once you're out of there. But then lay hints, you know, about, hey, I've given them laptops. And then now you're out and you're saying you saw this. For the average person out there, they hear this and they go, this sounds crazy. But as much information as I have over the years, unfortunately, it actually sounds very, very probable, and I think that you believe what you're saying.
I definitely believe what I'm saying, and unfortunately, it is true. And people should go to whoismcafee.com, read that latest blog post, and please spend the time to listen to the audio. You will see the authenticity that this is not something that could possibly be staged. And check out the links that the traditional press has already published. It's happening. There is no doubt that it's happening. It's happening for real. And Belize is central to this, and they are the key player in a plot to bring down America. And
all right, well, let me say this. If this was true, and the so-called U.S. government knew you knew this, they would have probably arrested you and trumped something up. So you were smart, if this is true, to keep your mouth shut until you got here. Now that you're here, you're smart, if this is true, to put it all out there, because now they have no reason to come set you up, because that would only draw attention to what you've said. I got to say this. Either way you slice this, you're a smart guy, buddy.
Well, I appreciate that, sir. I hope I'm smart enough to stay breathing for a while longer.
All right, John McAfee, thank you so much for joining us. And when can we get another update from you on this?
Well, you know, I'm going to be publishing more. I'm going to go give details on each of the names that the public official has named in that audio tape. And provide details on every one of them.
And you're ready for the mainstream media. You're ready for the mainstream media to contact you. You're ready to get the story out.
Well, you know, I think the mainstream media is going to go very cautiously. I mean, you know, the mainstream media does not have much balls, sir. You are one of the few people with the balls to take this bull by the horns and allow me to say something. It takes courage, and there's not much of that happening in the world today.
Well, just to be clear in closing, I have not sat there and gone through everything you're saying or everything you're claiming. I know that there's reported Hezbollah down there in that area. Obviously, you're a person of interest in the media. So we want to hear your perspective on what you're saying about this. Again, I don't know if it's true, but I know that there is reports of Hezbollah and other groups down there. I know our government's protected these people. And I think it's a very strange twist that, you've given people computers and done all this. But I think in the final equation, we're going to find out. In closing, what other interviews are you going to be doing?
Today, none, sir. Today, I'm heading into the safest part of our country, where I have friends that will be happy to let me blend into the populace, and I will feel safe once I've done that. Right now, I'm not exactly feeling safe.
All right. Well, stay in touch, John, and we'll certainly continue to track this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All
right, folks. Well, there goes John McAfee, and again, Time will tell in this story how much of this is entirely true, how much of it is paranoia. I don't know about the specific players he has on his website. The one point I would probably add is government gives, children free laptops that taxpayers paid for, and then key logs all their strokes on record and watches the kids at home. And that's what iPhones do. That's what all these smart devices do. These are all Trojan horses or rings of Mordor, rings of Sauron given to you, but in the darkness bind you. And people say, well, then why do you use it? Well, I can use the technology to fight the globalist, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, as a way to get into the matrix and warn people. But his story, I see as a computer guy, okay, they go after him. Then he tries to act like, oh, let's be friends as the payoff, because they, wanted the payoff. He gives them a bunch of boots and laptops and other things. It's just an incredible story. And so much of it has turned out to be true. He is either telling the truth, or he's partially telling the truth and has become paranoid, which can happen, or he is one of the best liars and storytellers that I've ever seen. Guys, raise your hands. You think he is full of it, or you think he's telling the truth? Okay, so you want it to be true, Marcos. What about you, Jakari? You think he's telling the truth for the most part. Is there a way to hook those mics up where you can actually come on air with me? Let's hook them up like that. So you think it's, you know what, Jakari? I've got this one mic. Come on in here in studio, pull up a chair, and you can shout at me. People will be able to hear you. I want to do that. I want to get it hooked up where you guys can talk to me in there, and then I can talk to you, because sometimes I want to bounce stuff off of you. What do you make of all of this?
It's quite a tale, just to hear something like that and just to see how he's been able to transverse from one location to another. That's the most interesting thing I think about him. He'll
That's what a real CIA spy acts like.
Yeah, because he says, I made it to this location, now I made it to that location. And that was my thought when I was hearing his story. I was like, why does this guy keep telling everybody where he's going to be? That's the biggest question I had. Well,
that's just like he said, I'm going to stay here, and kept saying I'm in Belize when he was really in Guatemala.
Right.
He's probably not even in Northern California.
Now, I could believe that as well, because that was my thought. I was like, why would this guy be telling people where he's going if he's really going to be in that location? I was thinking, okay, he said he's going to move.
Yeah, so what's happening is overall he's telling the truth, but he's also putting out disinfo.
Right.
Well,
I believe that.
It's pretty amazing, though, that he gave them all these laptops.
Right.
And he said that in the interview when he was still in Belize.
Right.
He said that, but he said, I will reveal more.
It's an interesting thing, because I was laughing about that, because we were laughing just a second ago. I was like, is he listening to us right now? Because here's a guy who says he knows about the back doors, because people say, oh, you're crazy, Alex Jones, you're crazy InfoWars. You think people can listen to you on your microphones? You think people can watch you on your cameras? Here's the guy, the software guy, antivirus McAfee, telling you he can watch you on your laptop.
But it's absolute that they give you their system. It's designed where they can flip it on and listen to you and watch you. It's designed to see everything you're typing.
Exactly.
You can erase your history in your phone or on your computer, but it's still there for them. And it's still on the phone. You can't even really get rid of the photos.
That's true.
Forever, they are embedded on there.
Right.
And
don't resell your phones. Throw them away. Beat them up. Throw them in the dumpster. Don't
burn them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not that we're doing something wrong, but why even have walls on our houses? All houses should be glass. Look, I know Hezbollah's down there. See, if he came out and said, oh, it's Hezbollah, they're a terrible threat to America, our government's good, I'd be like, okay, but he's like, no, the government's going to let it happen to take our rights. It's just all checks out. I don't know about the particular people. I don't know about these recordings. That's all on his site. We're not covering that. We're not going there with names and things. It's just very, very interesting. And if it is true, it needs to be investigated. If it isn't true, then he needs to get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. He's been able to stay one step ahead so far. So now Is he in danger of being extradited, or, what's his deal?
That was one question I meant to get to him, is like, are they talking about extraditing you or whatever? But that's in the news as well. Right now, there's no talk about that. But there's not very good relations between the, quote, United States and Belize. But there really are. And the government kind of acts like they're not down there, but really they want to leave that as a zone open so they can play games. Well, time will tell. But I hope that this Ricin attack isn't real. Or I hope it wasn't locals bragging and trying to impress people. But, man, it is going to turn into one hell of a story. They're going to make a movie out of this.
Yeah, I can definitely see this. Whatever way it turns out, yeah, definitely.
Jakari, thanks for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this Friday, the 4th day of January, 2013 transmission. Great job to Darren McBreen doing the earlier part. Plug here. By the start of next week, we'll probably be sold out, unless I hold back a few more that are going out on the street, of InfoWars magazine. And that's a good thing, because it's key information. You can buy them in bulk of groups of 10 up to 100 at cost. Well, it's like $14 for 10 of them, and it's even less per copy if you go up to 100. It's like a big color book, glossy, to give people. And it's 2013, the year America dies. Globalists have conquered governments. Now they want to conquer the people. Very important article. And it just goes over the NDAA and the entire police state grid. InfoWarsStore.com or InfoWarsShop.com will get you there. And it gets into the First Amendment and the war on photographers and Obamacare and just the whole New World Order system. It's got the artwork of Anthony Frida in it. Just really amazing information. Look at this. Travel to Yemen. Visit one of the 8 beautiful countries we haven't.
I like this one.
We're currently bombing.
Behind, they're going to hit you with the drone.
Absolutely. A guy put signs up like that in New York, and they arrested him. Oh, yeah. It was like an NYPD sign as a joke. And they arrested him for terrorism. Yeah. Because you don't impersonate us. You don't do political satire of us. Right. I mean, it obviously wasn't theirs. I mean, it just shows total tyranny. And it just continues. So, again, ladies and gentlemen, be sure and get InfoWars magazine while it is still available. And I'd say it supports us. It really supports liberty. I sell these at cost. The subscription is $59 a year for 12. That's because each copy is over $2 to mail to you, because we do it in an envelope. It would be a little less if we did it folded than with a sticker on it, but then it screws them all up. Right. We might do that to maybe next year drop the price of the subscription a little bit, but whatever. Point is, it gets the word out, and you get a physical record that can't be web, 2.0 internet kill switch garbage. This is our answer to the internet kill switch. And never fear. I think it'll be, tomorrow or so. I think on Saturday, I'm going to have them send out the mass email to all of the folks that are at Infowars.com/newsletter to get the free e-copy. And you flip right through it like it's a magazine. You can click on the links, click on the articles, click on the text, and it'll take you there. So you have a digital copy of that, and be sure and save it on your hard drive. We're just trying to do new things. It's been a big success. We're going to start syndication soon to other cities where they can have our national content or global content and then their local content. I just wanted to make it successful first. Folks at Franchise it can do it however they wish to make it profitable. We can make it profitable right now. We just have it paying for itself right now. But it's going to move into profitability just via the subscriptions. So go today. Because it is breaking even right now, but if we get enough subscriptions, it'll actually be able to make a little profit, which again is important because we have to make money to be able to do more things and resist the globalists, to get more researchers, more fact checkers, more researchers, and put out more information. You saw last night the video we put out that is titled
Demand a Real Plan.
Yes, Demand a Real Plan to counter Mayor Bloomberg. Demand a plan. Right. That's extremely powerful. Get that video out to everybody. It's up at Infowars.com and on our YouTube channel right now. So that's it for this edition of Infowars Nightly News. The Pro Pure Water filter is discounted with the promo code WATER. InfoWarsStore.com. All the books, the films, the materials, the T-shirts that help get the word out and meet like-minded people. Wear your colors proudly. It's all up there at InfoWarsStore.com, or call 888-253-3139. 24 hours a day to order via phone as well, and the P.O. Box is on the site at InfoWarsStore.com. Okay, we'll see you back this Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. for the live Sunday transmission. I will be live, and back Monday, Lord willing, 11 a.m. Central. This is the battle for the Republic and the battle for freedom worldwide.